Hello everybody and welcome to this video. This video is my WrestleMania 42 Night 2 review. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on WrestleMania Sunday as they call it and my experience watching WrestleMania 42 Night 2 edition. And up on my channel already is a long video giving detailed thoughts on my experience of watching WrestleMania 42 Night 1. So if you would like to watch that video before watching this video, a lot of my notes from night 1 bleed into night 2. So I suggest watching that video first. And especially if you want sort of like a podcast type review and thoughts and, criticisms of WrestleMania 42 night 1, check out that video because I go in depth with my thoughts. I'm going to do the same in this video, but first, before we get into my notes and before I really deep dive into it, I just want to talk about the highlights of this show first and the positives because a lot of my inner thoughts and deeper review of the show is going to be more focusing on criticisms and negatives of the show. But I want to start with the positives first. And in this image, you see the positives of night 2 of WrestleMania. CMPunk and RomanReigns put on an excellent main event. Obafemi and Brock Lesnar put on an emotional opening, and really the biggest difference between night 2 and night 1 for my money is the performers. The performers tonight showed up. The performers tonight showed up with a mission to make this WrestleMania good. Because the booking and the production and all that of the show really wasn't all that much better than night 1, to be completely honest with you. From a production standpoint and a creative standpoint, nothing really happened tonight that I can look at and be like, the producers and the creatives of WWE did a fantastic job booking this show. Not really. It's all the performers tonight. All the positives go to the wrestlers themselves, which, the wrestlers on night 1, they were part of the problem, and part of the problem of why night 1 was so, poorly received by the vast majority of the audience, including myself. The wrestlers phoned it in on night 1. The wrestlers did not phone it in on night 2. All the positives and all the flowers of WrestleMania 42 goes to the roster who competed on night 2. There was only 6 matches, so there wasn't a lot of them. But they showed up tonight and they did their best to make this WrestleMania feel special. And you have to give your flowers to them. And I'll get into more spoilers and, more in-depth discussion after I play my intro and after I go into the notes, which we're going to do. But the positives of WrestleMania 42 and what prevents it from being one of the worst WrestleManias of all time, because that was the direction it was heading in. After last night, the direction this show was heading in was this is lining up to be one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. They avoided that tonight, in my opinion, with the roster doing their best to make sure this WrestleMania did not end up in, the worst of category. Was this a fantastic WrestleMania? No. I'm just going to flat out say I think they need to get rid of the 2-night program. I don't think it works. I think more often than not, night 1 of WrestleMania is lackluster. They save all the good stuff for night 2, and just look at the difference in quality of night 2 this year versus night 1 this year. I think it's time to make WrestleMania a single night event again. Just put all the big matches on one night. Just extend the length of the show. Like, the show was a little bit over 3 hours today with a crap ton of ads. So you can easily extend WrestleMania to 5.5 hours and just make it one night and only focus on like the most, the 10 most important matches or the 9 most important matches. To me, that would be a better show than splitting it up into 2 nights and having a really, really lackluster opening night and, basically saving all the goods for night 2. Just get rid of night 1. Just make it a 2-night, or just make it a single night event, because the 2-night event just it doesn't work. And I think this year, more than any other year, is proof of that. But again, it's back to the performers. CM Punk and Roman Reigns put on an excellent main event match. In a bubble I think their main event was fantastic. Wrestling does not exist in a bubble, however, and I'll talk a bit about that more when I get into my notes. I didn't really take a lot of notes during the match because I was just enjoying the match. And it was the only match of the weekend I can genuinely say I loved was CM Punk and Roman Reigns. It was a fantastic match. Pretty much from beginning to end was a fantastic match. I don't think it's perfect, and I'll get into that when I hit, that part of the review later in the video, but they themselves as performers went out there and put on an excellent match and an excellent main event, and I'm not going to spoil it in this part of the video. If you haven't seen WrestleMania Night 2 yet, I suggest you watch it before watching any reviews because they're going to go into spoilers, and you want to watch the main event of CM Punk and Roman Reigns without spoilers because the match is so good that you want to see it fresh. You don't want it spoiled for you. So go watch the show and watch the main event before you watch any reviews, let alone this one. And same thing with the opening match. The opening match as a match itself wasn't fantastic, but the ending of the match was emotional. It was a legitimate WrestleMania moment. It wasn't something a lot of people saw coming, but it did happen. How real it will turn out to be remains to be seen. But as for tonight, it was definitely at least a WrestleMania moment for tonight. And, my hat's off to the opening for giving us a emotional moment. And again, that's not on the creative team or the producers, that's on the performers. And again, I'll talk about that more after I play the intro. This WrestleMania was saved by the performers tonight, and I keep repeating that, but it bears repeating because my worry is a lot of people are going to watch tonight and be like, oh, the creative team is fine. No, not really, because all the criticisms of this show, which I do have criticisms of this show, is on them, while all the positives is on the wrestlers. And that's never really been the issue with, current day WWE. The roster themselves is fine. And, especially when you put two megastars like CM Punk and Roman Reigns head to head in a WrestleMania main event, of course they're going to deliver. That's two of the best wrestlers of all time, two of the all time greats. And, between them and whoever is the agent of the match, they're going to put together a banger of a match. Does that make Triple H and the producers and the writing team, fantastic creatives? No, they put together a main event that has two of the all time greats, and the two of the all time greats delivered in the match. That's not on the creative team, that's on the performers. And my worry is people are going to watch night 2 and they're going to enjoy the show and they're going to be like, wow, the creative team is actually pretty good at this. No, they're not. The creative team is still a major problem. And this night, from a creative standpoint, did nothing to make me interested in the next year of wrestling between tonight and WrestleMania 43, because that's what WrestleMania should do. It should get you excited to watch WWE television for the next year leading up to the next WrestleMania. And from a creative standpoint, they did nothing to make me feel that way. The wrestlers put on great matches. That's fantastic. That's never was really in doubt, to be completely honest. Um, you can put anybody can be in the creative chair and be like, okay, we'll make the main event CM Punk and Roman Reigns. It's guaranteed to deliver. That's not on Triple H. That's just two of the all-time greats going out there and having a great match, and good for them. In a bubble, if you put that match in a bubble where it's just the match, it was fantastic. But from a creative standpoint, I have some issues with it. And I have a lot of issues with the creative and the writing and, the scripting of this show, which I'll get into with the notes. But this night of WrestleMania was so much better than night 1 because of the performers. The performers tonight showed up and we're like, and basically as a collective said, we're not going to let this be one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. They all saw last night's, half of the show. They all saw, the reactions it was getting in the fandom. They all saw, the feedback that everybody was giving. And the performers as a group said, we're not going to let this show be terrible. And they didn't. And to the performers of night 2, All my flowers for the show goes to you because you saved this WrestleMania from being an absolute disaster. So to the performers of night two, two thumbs up.
Jayvardy.
Jayvardy.
This Jayvardy.
Jayvardy. Thank you, Jayvardy.
Jayvardy. Oh, Jayvardy. Oh my gosh.
So before I get into my notes and really, dive into the nitty gritty of this show, did this night not feel very familiar and very similar to the first night? Because I'm pretty sure they just hit copy and paste with their scripts. Obviously the matches are different and the superstars are different, so you have to, adjust for that. But in terms of how the show flowed, they pretty much just hit copy and paste of night one to night two because they opened the exact same way with the cold opening, you know, aerial drone shot of the outside of the arena, and then they cut to the same guy giving the really bad monologue. I complained about that in my night one review of this guy. I have no idea who he is, who gave the opening monologue over the intro video package to WrestleMania. They did that exact same thing again. So they started the show, and then John Cena came out to an entrance again wearing a suit and tie, and he looks like an absolute goofball in a suit and tie. But those three things are exactly how they opened the first night of WrestleMania. They did a cold opening aerial shot of the arena. They cut to an intro video package with a really, really bad narrator and a bad, actor giving a monologue. I have no idea who that guy is. I don't care who that guy is. He's really bad at giving monologues. And then they have John Cena come out in a suit and tie to his entrance music, looking like an absolute goofball to welcome us to WrestleMania. So exactly copy and paste, the exact same opening both nights. And that would, the exact same script would, keep appearing through the rest of the night. They started WrestleMania with two babyface victories, followed by Michael Cole saying that they're now leaving ESPN to go to the app. So again, in the United States, you had to watch WrestleMania on two different apps or two different networks or whatever. You had to go from the ESPN network to the ESPN app. That's absolutely ridiculous. Thankfully, I'm in Canada. I just watched the whole thing on Netflix. I don't have to worry about having two different networks or a network and an app and, switching, an hour into the show. Like, what are we doing here? But that exact same thing happened, the first night, and then it happened again. And as soon as the switch happened, Michael Cole does, the match card for the rest of the night, showing all the different matches for the rest of the night. That's exactly what they did on the first night. And then later in the show, John Cena comes out to read the attendance, and that attendance announcement turns into a segment. Last night it was Bianca Belair announcing her pregnancy. Tonight it was The Miz and Danhausen doing, their typical shtick that they've been doing for the last month on TV. It was just a copy and paste of the script. They took the script in night one and they pretty much copy and pasted it, and the whole show felt so formulaic, and it felt so like orchestrated copy and paste. Just take night one script and we'll adjust it for night two. That's essentially how the show felt. And that's just the creative team being lazy. And if they're not capable of making the two nights, giving them at least their own script and at least giving the formula and the layout of the show completely different layouts, like just get rid of the two-night formula. Just do a single night. This is another argument in favor of making WrestleMania a single night event again. But also, it's like, you're telling me your creative team is so bad that they can't give the two nights a completely different layout to make the show feel like, it's not copy and paste and it's not a formula that they're following, that this is like, you know, because the first half of a movie and the second half of a movie are completely different. They're not following, a structured formula, right? Like a story progresses from the first half to the second half. And, you have to go up and then you have to go down and then you have to go up again. And there's climaxes and there's all different things. There's a formula to the overall scripts, but the first half and second half feel completely different from one another. Why didn't they book WrestleMania that way? Have a formula for the whole overall arching show, fine, but make the second half, as in night two, feel completely different from night one. Don't just copy and paste your script like that. It was very annoying to me, and just another reason why I think the creative team needs to go. And not even just the copy and paste and the formula of the show and all that, like nothing really happened tonight, you know? There were great matches. I'm just playing with my notes there. That's what that ruffling sound is, but there were some great matches tonight, but like this is WrestleMania. You need to give us a little bit more than just great matches. Um, Especially for fans who have been watching, pro wrestling for, decades or even a handful of years. Like we've all seen great matches like numerous times in our lives. You need to do a little bit more than just that. You can't just have great matches and be like, okay, our show is great because we had great matches. You have to do something creative and you have to do something that hooks us for the next year. Nothing they did tonight from a creative standpoint hooks the audience for the next year of wrestling. Like, what does the next year of wrestling look like? Doesn't look very good to me. I mean, the creative team has given us nothing. They've given us nothing to be excited about. And I guess we'll see on Raw if they do something like that on Raw, but I don't really have confidence that they will. And, nowadays, I don't think that the Raw after WrestleMania is the same as the Raw after WrestleMania was like 10, 15 years ago. I think now you kind of have to give the hook the night of WrestleMania, you know what I mean? And they didn't do that. But let's get into the notes, and this is the part of the video where we'll get into spoilers, and I'll try not to go as long as I did last night. I'll try to wrap this up underneath an hour. So night two, my first question was, why does Triple H narrate the signature before the show? And that's a fantastic question. Why does Triple H narrate the WWE signature at the start of the show? Um, it doesn't need a narrator, first of all. And why is it Triple H? Does he have an ego problem? I think we all know the answer to that. And then I wrote cold open again. I already talked about the opening of the show, but they did a cold open again, the cold open shot of the arena. Then I put get rid of superstar arrival. This is not a sport. These are characters, not sports stars. I hate the superstar arrival. And the beginning of the show where they show all the superstars entering the arena and like carrying their bags into the arena. I hate that. That's something like if you watch basketball games or football games, or I'm in Canada, so we're hockey. They always show like the hockey players getting off the bus and walking through the arena in their suits to start off the game. Like they'll show like half hour ago this was them arriving to the arena or whatever. They've been doing that in WWE for the last few years, the superstar arrival thing. I hate that. This is not a sports presentation. This is supposed to be a drama. This is supposed to be fictional characters who are in conflict with one another. This is not a sport. It's literally not a sport, guys. This is not a sport. It is a scripted, fictional program. Why are we doing sports arrival cam? That's so ridiculous, and it takes you out of the it essentially breaks kayfabe and it breaks the fourth wall, and I hate it. Get rid of superstar arrival. It's stupid. It's pointless. It's literally just there to fill time, and I hate it. Get rid of it. Then I wrote, same bad monologue guy and a crappy highlight pack of a bad night one, which is true. Then I wrote, why is John Cena still here? Question mark, question mark. Then I wrote, why is he still in a suit? He looks like a goofball. He literally said nothing. So John Cena came out to an entrance wearing a suit and tie again. And listen, I know John Cena said once he retires, he was retiring the jorts and he was retiring the colored shirts and all that and the hat, and he'd be showing up wearing a suit and tie from now on. That's stupid. I'm just saying it straight up, John Cena, that is stupid. I get the reason in your mind, you'd think, as long as I'm in a suit and tie, they're not going to think I'm coming back here to wrestle. They're not going to think I'm coming out of retirement ever. It's still stupid, John. Look at Hulk Hogan making his appearances throughout, all the times he was inactive. Hulk Hogan coming in his retirement after his last set of matches. Look at every single Hulk Hogan appearance. What was he wearing? Was he wearing a suit and tie, or was he wearing the red and yellow? He was wearing the red and yellow. You know why? Because he would look like a goofball if he showed up wearing the suit and tie. And you know what? John Cena, I'm sorry to say, you look like a goofball in a suit and tie. Just wear your colors. Just wear your outfit. Look at Hulk Hogan. Every time he showed up in his retirement, he was wearing the Hogan colors. If you're gonna show up to WWE shows, wear your Cena colors or don't show up. It's that simple. If you don't want to wear your colors anymore and you don't want to be a character on the show anymore, then don't show up. You're retired. Just don't show up. I don't see the value of him coming in with a suit and tie, clearly breaking character. He's not even talking in character anymore. He's just literally talking as a guy. Why is he here? What's the point of this? And I can say this is creative. It is creative. They desperately want him around, and he just doesn't. He's just not interested. Clearly, Cena's really not interested anymore. But my thing is to Cena then, it's like, just stay home, man. Just stay home. If you're not gonna at least wear your colors, like, just stay home. Hulk Hogan didn't show up in a suit and tie, so why are you? Just stay home. And he said nothing. He literally said nothing in his opening promo. He literally just pretty much came out and said, "Welcome to WrestleMania." He said nothing. Then I wrote no hype video for Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar. There was no hype video. There was no video package before their match. It literally just went into their match. And then I wrote, why is Alicia Taylor here? Why can't we have Lillian Garcia? Did I not see online a couple weeks ago that Lillian Garcia re-signed a contract with WWE? So why was Alicia Taylor the ring announcer for 2 nights of WrestleMania? Did I miss something? As far as I knew, Lillian Garcia was back under contract with the company. Am I wrong about that? Maybe I'm wrong, but even if she isn't under contract, my question is, why is Alicia Taylor doing both nights? What's the point of a 2 night show? Change it up, give us a different flavor. Like, why couldn't we get Lillian Garcia tonight? Why Alicia Taylor? She's not even that great. So I put, why is Alicia Taylor here? Why can't we have Lillian Garcia? Great question in my notes. And then I said, why is she introducing after the entrances? This is just wasting time. This isn't boxing. This isn't a sport. And, I hate the wrestlers make their entrance and then they stand in the ring and it goes silent for Alicia Taylor to introduce them both in the ring. They think it's them giving them a big fight feel. It's not. It's just breaking kayfabe. That's all it is. I went on a rant about this in my night one review. So if you want to hear me rant about that, it's in the night one review. But I hate that intro. Just introduce the wrestlers as they're coming out during their entrances and just ring the bell once they're in the ring. Don't stop to introduce the match when they're both inside the ring. This is not a quote unquote big fight feel. It's just breaking kayfabe and it's just filling time. Stop doing it. I don't even like when they do it for title matches, but especially an opening match like this, I really, really, really don't like it. Then I didn't really write any notes about the match itself. The match wasn't very long, and the match itself wasn't really all that special as a match itself, but I put this. My immediate reaction was Obafemi is the right winner, but this was another short match. Match was half the length it should have been. There are only 6 matches scheduled. So right when the match ended, this was the note I took, and my first thought was, Obafemi is the right winner this match. Brock Lesnar really doesn't need to get this win. Obafemi does. Obafemi is the future. Brock Lesnar is clearly towards the end of his line, so they got the winner right. But I thought this match was really short, and they kind of rushed through the motions. I felt like this match probably could have been double the length it was, and I didn't really understand why it wasn't. Well, because afterwards they gave Brock Lesnar like 10 minutes of having the ring because Brock Lesnar took off his gloves, he took off his boots, and he waved goodbye to the crowd. I alluded to this in the intro of this video. I don't know how real this is. I haven't read anything since the show ended. I immediately just started my review. But I don't know how real the Brock Lesnar retirement is. I know there were rumors that he was going to officially retire at SummerSlam this year because SummerSlam's in Minnesota. And that was apparently the plan, but that might have just been a leak to throw us off, and the real retirement was always going to be tonight. And Lesnar maybe didn't want a quote unquote retirement match. Maybe he just wanted to, retire kind of out of the blue like this. I don't know how real this is. Will Lesnar be back for SummerSlam? I don't know. There's two ways to look at it. Number one, he retired tonight, or number two, he retired from WrestleMania tonight. And either way, it was a moment for the night, at least. I guess we'll find out more information later. Maybe they'll announce he's doing one more match at SummerSlam and that's it for his career. Maybe they won't announce anything and he'll just show up for SummerSlam, or maybe he'll do like sort of a real life announcement on social media, or he'll go on a sports show of some kind and officially announce his retirement. Who knows? But the audience gave Brock Lesnar his flowers, and everybody was being very respectful during Lesnar. They let him have his moment. The camera shots of all this was actually pretty good, so that for the production team actually did decent camera work for all of this. The announcers went quiet. They weren't ruining the moment with their bad commentary. So everything about it, the moment was special and it was emotional for me because I remember Brock Lesnar debuting in the WWE. That's when I first started becoming a fan, was right around the time Brock Lesnar debuted. I probably started becoming a fan a few months before Brock Lesnar debuted, but him debuting was pretty much right around the time I started becoming a fan. So he's been, you know, part of my wrestling fandom pretty much from the start. And if tonight was the last night, my flowers to Brock Lesnar. You've been one of my favorite wrestlers for many years, and it was very nice to see the company, the announcers, the production team, and the fans, most importantly, in the building give Brock Lesnar his flowers. Extremely well deserved. One of the most legitimate badasses pro wrestling has ever seen. If tonight was the last time, he did the right thing by putting over the younger talent. Obafemi got the win. That was the right call. And Brock Lesnar, that proves he's a legitimate, pro wrestler, because how do you go out in pro wrestling? You go out on your back, you go out with the other guy getting his arm raised, and you push the business towards the future. So in that sense, it's kind of the perfect retirement, isn't it? But to Brock Lesnar, my flowers to you. What a career. Moving on, we went to the ladder match for the Intercontinental title, and get this, 3 entrances were during the ads. So they did ads again, so why are there commercial breaks during a WrestleMania? Commercial breaks during WrestleMania is absolutely insane, especially for me because I paid for a no advertisement package from Netflix. I think that's false advertisement. I literally have a no ads package, and yet WWE has commercial breaks during WrestleMania. So what happens? Like, do I get like some sort of refund for that? Because I paid for literally a no ads package. Why are there commercial breaks? It's not Netflix doing the commercials. It's actually WWE doing commercials. I live in Canada, so I watch it on Netflix. But it's WWE themselves doing the commercials, but I'm paying for a no commercial product. So how does that work? But anyways, during the commercials, they did 3 entrances. So JD McDonough Rusev and Dragon Lee didn't even get to have a WrestleMania entrance tonight because it wasn't shown on TV. I assume they got the entrance in the arena. I assume they did, but on in terms of TV, they had no WrestleMania entrance. So they're thrown in a six-man multi-man ladder match, and they didn't even get to have an entrance. That really, really sucks for them, and that's really, really disrespectful to them by the company. Really disrespectful. Part of the benefit of being on a WrestleMania card as a wrestler is getting to make your entrance because that's a time for you to really, it's the time when you have the spotlight solely on you, and it's your chance to get over with a WrestleMania crowd both in the arena and at home watching when you have your biggest audience of the year. And those three guys did not get the opportunity to do that tonight, which is really disrespectful. I wrote that the commentary is so meta. They talk about real life and off screen stuff more than conflict from TV. And that's true. You listen to Michael Cole and Wade Barrett during this show, they talk about real life stuff and they talk about stuff that happens off camera with these wrestlers way more than they talk about stuff actually from the program, which shows me two things. One, the commentary team is just completely awful and garbage. That's number one. But number two, the creative team is just awful and garbage. Imagine JR and the King. Do you think they would ever spend an entire show talking more about real life stuff and off camera stuff to talk about these wrestlers? Or do you think they would be talking about all the conflict and the drama and the storylines going on TV when they're talking about them during the match? Because that's what they would do, you know? They would talk about all the stuff we've seen these wrestlers been doing on TV, but these wrestlers do nothing on TV nowadays. They literally do nothing but wrestle and cut really lame promos. So, the creative team does nothing with them. There's no real storylines. There's no real conflict. There's no real feuds. So, what does the commentary have to talk about with these guys? They have to talk about real life. They have to talk about off camera stuff because they have to fill in the gaps. They have to fill in the gaps for the creative team, which shows that the creative team are shit writers. Triple H and his writing team are terrible writers, and they're so bad that the commentary team has nothing to talk about with these wrestlers. Nothing. So they have to use real life stuff to get to talk about these wrestlers because they have to fill in the gaps because these wrestlers do nothing on TV, so what are they going to talk about? They have to talk about real life, and it makes the commentary so meta, and that breaks the point of pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is supposed to be a fictional kayfabe program. It's not a sport. This is not a real life competition. I don't care about these wrestlers' real lives. I don't care who their friends are in real life, who their mentors are, who they train with, who they travel with. None of that stuff should matter. We shouldn't even know any of that stuff. All we should know is who are they feuding with, what's the beef between them in the storyline, and talking about their history competing against each other as wrestlers in kayfabe and all the hatred that they have like leading up to this match. That's what commentators are supposed to talk about. That's on the creative team mostly, but it's also on the commentary team. Like, I'd rather you guys say nothing than say meta nonsense and fill in the gaps with real life because it breaks kayfabe and it takes me out of the story. Then I wrote, it's a good match, but who cares? Because how many multi-man ladder matches at WrestleMania have we seen? And I wrote Fast and Furious and Mission Impossible. What I mean by that is, if you've seen one or two Mission Impossible movies, you've seen all 7 or 8 or however many Mission Impossible movies there are now. If you've seen one or two Fast and the Furious movie, you've seen all 9 or 10 or however many Fast and Furious movies there are now. It's like, is Fast and Furious 8 really going to be all that different from Fast and Furious 7? Is Mission Impossible 6 going to be all that different from Mission Impossible 5? You've seen them all. If you've seen one or two, you've seen them all. And how many multi-man ladder matches at WrestleMania have there been now? There's WrestleMania 42, and there's probably been like, what, 10, 11 multi-man ladder matches in the history of WrestleMania, maybe more than that. I'm not going to go back and count them, but there's got to be at least around 10, right? And if you've seen one or two, you've seen them all. And it was a good match. I'm not going to take anything away from the performers. It was well choreographed, even though it was very obviously choreographed. That's the thing about multi-man ladder matches. It's so obviously choreographed. But the performers did a good job and they put their bodies on the line, and there was some really exciting, crazy spots out there. And if this is your first ever like WrestleMania ladder match, you're probably going to enjoy this match a lot more than someone like me because I've seen almost all of them. And at this point, there's really nothing these guys can do in a ladder match that I haven't seen been done before. So for me, it was good match, but who cares? I've seen this done many times before. So I guess this match is for the people who've never seen a multi-ladder man match before, and the only way that's really possible is if this is your first or second WrestleMania, right? Like, cause there's multi-man ladder matches at WrestleMania like every 2 or 3 years, So good match, but I've seen it been done many times before, so like, why do I care? And why did Penta win the match? What was the point of the match? Like to me, if you're going to have a multi-man ladder match for the Intercontinental title, part of the point is to crown a new champion, right? Like to get the belt off of the champion into somebody new. Like, what was the point of the five guys being in a ladder match with Penta just for Penta to retain his title? Like, to me, it's like, why wasn't this just Penta versus Rey Mysterio in a ladder match, one on one? Because, like, imagine how much more exciting that would be. Because you would go from a multi man choreographed, like, high bunch, like, crazy high spots, choreographed, but very obviously choreographed, versus, like, a really intense, innovative, crazy spectacle and two guys putting their body on the line in what would look like a more legitimate fight and a more legitimate struggle. And it would also put Penta over in a much bigger way because he would be getting a one-on-one ladder match victory over Rey Mysterio, a legend. So like my question is what's the point of this being a multi-man ladder match if Penta's just going to retain the title? Why not make it Penta versus Rey Mysterio one-on-one, and then it's a much bigger deal when he retains the title? But, the creative team, they're just really bad bookers. What their idea was is, well, let's just put a bunch of guys in a ladder match, and that's an easy match for us, right? Because um, it just makes them look good because like this is not on the creative team, guys. Like anybody, you can pick any random fan, and a lot of them will pitch a multi-man ladder match at WrestleMania. Like, anybody could book a multi-man ladder match. All you have to do is put say, okay, we're gonna do a six-man ladder match. Okay, who are your six guys? And you just pick six guys. You know it's gonna be a banger of a match. Like nobody's doubting that. But like if you're going to have Penta win, why not do the smart thing as a creative team and just make it Penta versus Rey Mysterio one on one? And then you have Rey Mysterio putting over Penta for the future, right? Like Lesnar putting Obafemi over for the future. That's probably what should have happened, but creative team just wanted a really easy match. But that's Triple H WWE for you. Then I put Michael Cole as awful, talking about Lesnar. Time for Cole to go. We need a younger and more engaging voice of WWE. So after the ladder match, which Michael Cole and Wade Barrett were so meta and just terrible meta announcing throughout the entire thing, they cut to a replay of Lesnar retiring, and Michael Cole was like, I was so shocked that I didn't even say anything. Well, first of all, thankfully you didn't say anything because you talking over the moment would have ruined the moment. But you're so meta that you're now pointing out that your announcing went quiet for a WrestleMania moment. That's where we are in WWE. We're so meta with the announcing that the announcers are like, remember that moment earlier in the show where we couldn't even say anything? We had to just let the moment happen. Like, I'm at a loss for words with Michael Cole at this point. He needs to go. He mentioned how he's been there for the start of Brock Lesnar's career. Well, Michael, that probably means you've been here too long, man. It's time to get somebody else in there, somebody younger, somebody more engaging, somebody who's going to bring some energy to the show. Michael Cole sounds tired in his announcing. He doesn't have the energy that he used to anymore. He needs to pace himself to get through these 3 hour shows. We need somebody, not in their 60s, but somebody in like their 20s or their 30s who's going to come in with an energy and a love for the business that's going to inject some life into the show through the commentary. I don't want to disrespect Michael Cole too much as a person because he's done a lot for the business. Obviously, you put that much time into the business, you deserve your flowers, but it is time for Michael Cole to go. Michael Cole has run his course in WWE, and the announcing would be infinitely better if they went out and got somebody younger, more energetic, and with more life to them to bring some life to the show. Michael Cole, I really, really, really think you need to step down before WrestleMania 43. I think your time is done. Then I complained about the WrestleMania being on two different apps again. I already ranted about that, and I ranted about that a lot in the first video, so we'll move on, but it's in the notes here. WrestleMania on two apps in the US again. Then I put showing a replay of last night again. Why? Because they started showing more highlights of night one again. Then I put stop showing B-list celebrities. I ranted about this a lot in my night one review. They kept showing B-list celebrities every time they would cut away from a match or come back from commercials. Like, who cares about B-list celebrities? Just stop that. Then I wrote in the notes, the show is following the same script as last night. 2 matches, switches apps, come back, show B-list celebrities, advertise rest of card, 2 babyface wins to start the card. No creativity. I already ranted a lot about them using pretty much the same script both nights, so we'll move on. Then we went into Trick Williams versus Sami Zayn. My first note was Trick Williams' entrance was stupid. It really was. That whole long jacket, the train jacket, was really, really stupid, and his entrance song sucked. I wrote, crowd is dead or it's turned down. Either way, this is bad. So during the entrance, you hear really, really obviously fake chants for Trick Williams in the crowd. The real crowd is turned down, and you can tell because the music gets quieter. But the crowd was dead for the entrance. All those Trick Williams chances were fake crowd noise. Those were sound effects that they were playing in the arena. But the crowd was dead, and it was really obvious, and it was really bad. No hype package for the US title match or any match up to this point thus far. Then I wrote another short match. And then I wrote stop with the new champion camera shot. So I ranted about this a lot in my night one review, but every time there's a new champion, whether it's at WrestleMania or whether it's on Raw, or it doesn't matter what show it's on, Triple H cuts to this really lame orchestrated, manufactured camera shot of the camera going into the middle of the ring, center of the ring, pointed up towards the entrance ramp where there's a graphic on the Titantron saying new champion, and the champion stands there, holds their title up, and pyro goes off. Every single new title win does this, and my complaint is this breaks kayfabe, because why is every single new champion not celebrating as a character in their own unique way? Why are they all agreeing to stand in the exact same spot to celebrate with the exact same graphic, in the exact same pyro, in the exact same manufactured, orchestrated shot? It breaks kayfabe. And there's no individuality to this. It's all just so phony, you know what I mean? In such a repulsive way too. Like, even Roman Reigns, when he won the title tonight, did the new champion camera shot. Like, you can't even let your top guy celebrate as an individual character. Literally all of them are told, make sure you go into and make sure you hit your mark for the new camera shot or new champion camera shot. Like, it's so stupid. Stop that. It makes the show look so fake and phony. Like, just stop it. You're suspending disbelief completely with the new champion camera shot. Get rid of it. Then I wrote, I'm sick of wrestlers hugging their family. This is not a sport. It's a drama. Why are fictional characters hugging audience members? Do that shit backstage. Is Trick Williams a heel or a face? No one knows, ? Including the WWE, ? So my complaint was Trick Williams won the US title and he goes out after doing the new champion camera shot and he hugs an audience member. First of all, I thought Trick Williams was a heel, but maybe he's not. Maybe the WWE doesn't even know if he's a heel or a face. But it doesn't matter. Like, why are fictional characters hugging family members in the audience when they win titles? This is breaking kayfabe and it's stupid. Do that crap backstage. Like, I don't need to see everybody hug their family when they win titles. It's not emotional when you've seen it for the 20th time, you know? It's emotional when it was emotional at WrestleMania 20 when Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit hugged in the middle of the ring and held their titles up. It was emotional then. It's not emotional watching Trick Williams hug his family member when he wins a title at WrestleMania 42. It's not emotional watching Stephanie Vaquer hug her family when she wins a title at WrestlePalooza. Like, just stop this. These are characters. They're not sports stars. This is not a real championship victory. This is a fictional plot point in a drama. And why are we breaking the drama by having the character go hug family members? Stop it. It's not emotional. It's breaking kayfabe. Please stop with the champions hugging their family members. Trick Williams, is he even a babyface? Is he even a babyface? Like, why is he Don't show me Trick Williams hugging his family members. Let him hug his family backstage. Let him celebrate in the ring as a character and then hug his family as a man backstage. Don't have him hug his family as a man in the ring and in camera. That's so ridiculously stupid. Get rid of that. It's not emotional. I'm telling you, it's not emotional for us, the audience. It literally just breaks character. Then I wrote, why are there ads after every match? Great question. Again, I paid for no ads in my Netflix package, yet there's commercials after every match. Then I wrote, stop showing B-list celebrities. Then I wrote, stop showing fans in the shop zone. Then I wrote, stop showing fans in fan parties. What is the point of showing any of this shit? That's a great question. What is the point of showing any of that stuff? Then I wrote, no hype video for Dominic Mysterio versus Finn Balor. Then I wrote, street fight. Why? So this is the fourth match of the night and not a single match of the night has had a hype video for it yet. You know, a video package hyping up the match. Not a single one has had one yet. And they randomly made the match a street fight. And I put street fight. Why? Question mark. Which is a great question because it didn't need to be a street fight. Then I wrote, Dom entrance sucked. Why is he carrying a non-WWE title? Who cares about AAA? Great questions. Why are WWE stars now coming out with titles that's not even from the WWE? Again, this is WrestleMania. This is WWE. Who cares about AAA and whatever title he has from it? You know, let him carry that when he's wrestling in AAA, but this is WWE and this is WrestleMania. Why is he carrying that title? No one cares about AAA at WrestleMania, which is a true fact. Then I wrote, Finn Balor got the entrance that Stephanie Vaquer should have got last night, which is true. Stephanie Vaquer was in a main event world title match while Finn Balor was in a mid-card match. So they pretty much have the same character, right? So like you could have taken the exact same entrance that Finn Balor got tonight and given that entrance to Stephanie Vaquer because Liv Morgan got a special entrance for that title match. Why didn't Stephanie Vaquer get an equally outlandish entrance for hers? Instead, she just got red and black confetti. The cinematic entrance that Finn Balor got tonight should have been given to Stephanie Vaquer the night before. I can't give it credit for the cinematic entrance that Finn Balor got because all I could think of is this is the entrance that Stephanie Vaquer should have got last night. I mean, are we not trying to build her up as a star? Like, I don't get it. Finn Balor's been in the company for how long? Stephanie Vaquer was at her first WrestleMania in a world title match. That entrance should have gone to Stephanie Vaquer, not Finn Balor. Then I wrote, Michael Cole is awful. We've talked about that a lot, but he's just so bad. Michael Cole and Wade Barrett are so bad at this. One of the worst announced teams of all time. And Michael Cole, he just needs to go. So I wrote here, Michael Cole is awful because he was awful during this match, but he was awful during pretty much all the matches. Then I wrote, there's no difference in a street fight and an unsanctioned match. So they wrote out they did a stat in commentary saying this is the seventh or eighth or whatever number it was street fight in the history of WrestleMania, and I'm like, my thought was, are you including last night's unsanctioned match in that? Because there's literally no difference. Tell me what the difference between an unsanctioned match and a street fight match is, because there's literally no difference. So yeah, I hope they were counting Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu in that stat because they had a street fight last night, right? Then I wrote, both nights feel like mirrors to one another. Match. Finn Balor won, Dominic got buried. So we talked a lot about how like it feels like the two nights shared the same script. Well, this part of the script was just changing Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre to Dominic Mysterio and Demon Finn Balor. And Finn Balor won, and it buried Dominic Mysterio. So I wrote Dominic Mysterio buried, because I feel like he was buried in that match. I don't understand why Finn Balor won. I mean, in a bubble, I kind of agree with Finn Balor winning the match. I mean, if he comes out to wrestle in that gimmick, it makes more sense that he wins than Dominic wins, to be honest, in a bubble. But in the larger scale of things, Finn Balor didn't need the win. Dominic Mysterio did need the win. So that's called a burial, my friends. Dominic Mysterio was buried tonight. Then we went into Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill, and my question was, who is Adam Weissman? Why is he here? So I'm not trying to throw shade at the man. I genuinely don't know who he is, but Michael Cole and Wade Barrett and the camera team decided to show us Adam Weissman sitting at the table to watch Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley, and my note was, who is Adam Weissman and why is he here? They didn't say why he was here. They didn't say who he was other than his name, and I don't think he even said anything during the match on commentary, so what was the point of showing him on camera? If he was just a guest of one of the wrestlers or a guest of the company or whatever, like, why couldn't he literally just sit there and do nothing, which is what he did? But like, why did we take the time to introduce him and show him on camera? Like, who is this guy? Why is he here? I don't have the answers. I'm just genuinely asking. Then I wrote, no hype package for Jade versus Rhea. This is a world title match. This is the main event for the women because it's the last main event, or it's the last women's match of the weekend. There are no more women's matches on WrestleMania, so in a sense, this is the women's main event of the weekend. And they don't get a hype video for it. They don't have a video package to hype up the match for us. That's really, really bad. And I do know that they released a hype video. Um, they released a video package of the rivalry online, but play it during the show. Don't give us a commercial break. Play the hype video for us on the show. This is a women's world title match and they didn't get a hype video. That's insane. Then I wrote, why did the champion come out first? Question mark. Because Jade Cargill made her entrance before Rhea Ripley. Jade Cargill's the champion. Why did the champion come out first? That's just odd. Then I wrote, both entrances suck, because they did. Neither one had like a really great, fantastic entrance. Then I wrote, why does Michael Cole have to tell us that Alicia Taylor is great? Which is a great question. Stop telling us things. Let us decide for ourselves. Why does it Michael Cole have to say, and now to the great Alicia Taylor? Like, what are we doing here, guys? What is this? Then I put, stop doing the boxing introduction. This is not a sport. This is not a prize fight. It's a climax to a drama. Again, this is not a prized fight. This is not a sports competition. This is a conclusion to a dramatic feud. The match between two wrestlers in a feud is the climax of their feud. It's not a big fight feel. It's not a big sports program. This is a climax to a dramatic feud. So stop with the boxing introductions. You know, they come out and then we're going to introduce them in the ring for a big match feel. Stop it. Stop it. Then I put, Michael Cole and Wade Barrett are awful. I keep writing that, but it's true. Then I wrote, Rhea wins, ... Why? Question mark. Jade Cargill buried, and I believe that. Rhea Ripley did not need this win. Jade Cargill could have gone 3-0 tonight at WrestleMania, and at 3-0 you can realistically start marketing a WrestleMania undefeated streak. You can't really do that at 1-0 or 2-0, but 3-0 nowadays you can head into WrestleMania next year and you can get on the mic and brag and you can start showing graphics of 3-0 at WrestleMania, and you can kind of start building a little bit of hype towards, can they go 4-0? Can they go 5-0? Can they go 6-0? And Jade Cargill's a big enough star that she kind of deserved the win tonight anyways. And you crowned a lot of new champions as it was over this weekend. You really did not need to give Rhea Ripley this win. This was Rhea Ripley's, what, 7th or 8th WrestleMania, and it was only Jade's 3rd. Jade should have got the win. In my opinion, she got buried tonight. So my point of Rhea wins, why? Question mark. I think that's valid. And then I wrote, stop the new champion camera shot. We already ranted about that, but they did it again here. Just stop with that nonsense. Then I wrote, waste of Io Sky at WrestleMania. Asuka and Kairi could have had a strong mid-card match with her. So there were only 6 matches tonight, and Io Sky came out to help Rhea Ripley win her match, I guess, is the best way to explain it. She came out to do a moonsault to take out Mishin and B-Fab, and then, she distracted Jade Cargill for Rhea Ripley to eventually get the win. There was a bit of a counter exchange there, or a counter chain before Rhea ended up getting the win, but she essentially came out to help Rhea win her title. But there were only 6 matches tonight. You could have had a strong mid-card match between Io Sky, Asuka, and Kairi Sane in some sort of combination. You could have done the Kabuki Warriors versus Io in a 2-on-1 handicap match. You could have done Io versus Asuka 1-on-1 with Kairi as the special guest referee. You could have done, a triple threat between them. Io Sky versus Asuka versus Kairi. Whatever you ended up doing, you could have had a really, really strong mid-card match there between, the former members of Damage Control and 3 women who could have put on a really, really strong match in the mid-card. And that really would have helped the weekend, in my opinion, and it really would have helped make tonight's night even more special. And WrestleMania was only like 3.5 hours. You could have added another half hour, 40 minutes to the show to get that match in easily. WrestleMania can be up to like 5 hours and be fine. You don't need to end at like 3.5 hours. So like they could have very easily done some sort of combination with Io, Asuka, and Kairi in the mid card to give those 3 women a really big WrestleMania mid card match, and it would have been a banger of a match, regardless of it's a handicap match or a triple threat match or a 1-on-1 special guest referee match. Whatever you do, it would have been awesome. What they did instead was a waste of Io Sky at WrestleMania. And for the 2nd year in a row, Asuka and Kairi missed WrestleMania altogether. So waste of Io at WrestleMania, and Asuka 2 years in a row missing WrestleMania at her age. Not great, because at her age, you don't know how many WrestleManias you have left, right? So, too bad all around. Then I put, stop showing fan parties. Who cares? What does it accomplish? Great question. Then I wrote, stop showing Lesnar over and over and over again. Michael Cole is terrible. So they kept showing Lesnar throughout the night with Michael Cole, pretty much saying the same thing every time they showed it. And I was like, can we just stop with this? You're kind of ruining the moment at this point. Just stop. Then I wrote, why is John Cena here? Just go away, John. He pretty much came out to announce the attendance. We already talked about this earlier in the video, so we can skip over these notes, but I will say this. They announced that it was 55,255 people tonight, which is an increase over night 1, and 55,000 on its own is not terrible, but you kind of want to see WrestleMania numbers more towards the 70,000 for these big stadiums. The closer you get to like the 70,000 mark, that's probably where you want to be. I would say 65,000 plus is good. 55 is a lot better than night one's 50,000, but it's still not where it should be. They probably are 10 to 15,000 people short of where they need to be. But then Cena said the combined attendance of the weekend is 106,072. There's no such thing as a combined audience. Your whatever it was on night one, the 50,000 and change, and your 55,255 tonight. Those are the numbers. There's no combined numbers. It's two different shows. It's two different tickets. I know it's all called WrestleMania, but it's two different tickets. There is no combined audience. That's not how it works. You drew 50,000 for night one. You drew 55 for night two. Don't give me the whole combined audience thing to make it sound better than it is. There is no combined audience. That's not how it works. It's literally not how it works. Because you got to think of it from a monetary standpoint. You're spending money to produce a show each night. So each night's attendance is the attendance that show draws. There is no combined attendance. That's not how it works because it's not one production, it's two. It literally is two productions because you're doing one production one night and you're doing a second production the second night. Both of those things cost money. So there is no such thing as combined audience. That's not how it works. You draw what you draw on each night. That's the only thing that matters. The combined audience, don't pay attention to that number. It's a fake, phony number. It doesn't exist. Then Miz comes out and he says, I'm the locker room leader now. So meta, man. Like, just stop with the meta. This is a... Oh my gosh, man. Like, locker room leader. Can you get any more meta than that? Calling yourself a locker room leader in the middle of the show. Can you literally get any more meta than that? Just stop with the meta nonsense. Bring back kayfabe. Bring back storylines. Bring back a fictional universe. Like, stop with the meta BS. Then Danhausen comes out, and I wrote Danhausen's entrance was stupid. Again, same as last night. So, or no, I wrote same entrance that AJ Lee got. So yeah, Danhausen's entrance was pretty much just a copy and paste of AJ Lee's entrance from night one. It's literally the exact same thing. Danhausen came out with little people, AJ came out with little children, but it's the same idea, just copy and paste. So not only did this segment do a copy and paste of, okay, night one, Bianca announces she's pregnant with John Cena. Night two, Miz and Danhausen would do comedy with John Cena, but also Danhausen will have the exact same entrance as AJ Lee. It's all copy and paste. The script was just copy and paste all night. Because the creative team sucks. It is what it is. Then I wrote Danhausen, Finn Balor, Stephanie Becker, and Rhea Ripley all have the same gimmick, give or take. And I understand that Danhausen is a comedy character, and he's kind of a parody of those types of characters. But parody aside, and I guess that separates him a little bit because he's a parody character, but Finn Balor, Stephanie Becker, and Rhea Ripley, and Danhausen being a parody of all of that, all have the same gimmick. They literally all have the same gimmick. If that doesn't show lack of creativity, I have no idea what does, because now we're in an era where wrestlers all have very similar gimmicks to one another. That's 4 different wrestlers who all pretty much have the same gimmick. Not great. Not great. Then I wrote, this segment was a flop, which it was. Then after the segment flopped, John Cena does a fake laugh and then ends the segment with a really bad promo. Yeah, John Cena, please just stay home, man. There's no need for you to come around to these shows like this. Just stay home. Then I wrote main event already, question mark, short ass show. And it was. Then I wrote, this is the only match to get a hype package before the match, which it was. Then I wrote, rematch from last year, because this was a rematch from last year. CM Punk and Roman Reigns wrestled at WrestleMania 41 with Seth Rollins in the match. So yeah, this was a rematch. We already saw this last year. We saw this match with Seth Rollins added to it. Now we're watching it again without Seth Rollins. That's still a rematch in my eyes. Then I wrote, acknowledge the main event is a stupid tagline, because in their promo video, which is, again, this is the only match to get a promo hype video package, the tagline was acknowledge the main event. And I wrote, acknowledge the main event is a stupid tagline, and it is. Then I wrote, they did ads after the hype package. So they did the hype package, and instead of cutting from the hype package into the entrances, they did a commercial break, which is just insane. Um, that's just poor production planning right there. Do the commercial break and then do the hype package and then do the entrances. Don't do the hype package and then a commercial break. Like, what are we doing here? This is like a child could tell you that. Like, why do I have to tell you that? A freaking child could tell you that. Then I wrote, they have done this same entrance for Roman at WrestleMania before, because they had, people come out with, the piano and the giant drum, and they did like a little mini orchestra version of his music, and then it hit his real music, and he came out. They've done this exact entrance for Roman Reigns at WrestleMania before. So yeah, that's just copy and paste from another year. No real creativity, no real innovation. Just literally do something we've already done at WrestleMania's past. Then I wrote Roman Reigns, the only superstar of the weekend? Question mark. Because as he was coming out, I'm like, this is the only guy so far this weekend to feel like a legitimate superstar. And he came out feeling like a legitimate superstar, like he always does. And when he came out, I'm like, this is the first and only superstar to show up this weekend. Nobody else is on superstar level like that in the company right now. Then I got a notice, because I was watching on Netflix, that the live event ended. So, because I started the show an hour late, so I could fast forward through ads, which is a strategy. So I just hit the show an hour late, and that way, when ads come up, I can just skip over them instead of having to sit through them. So at this point of the night, for me, it's 9:36, and Netflix said at the bottom, live event has ended. So I put WrestleMania ends at 9:36 p.m. Eastern Time. What a joke. So the show was 3 hours and 36 minutes because it started at 6 p.m. Eastern. What a joke, guys. What a joke. It should have ended at like 11 o'clock. You're telling me we couldn't have had Kyrie, Io, and Asuka on this show when it ended at 9:36? Give me a break. Then I wrote, really happy for CM Punk to truly main event to WrestleMania. CM Punk, in his very famous podcast, where he went on his buddy's show, They're Not Friends Anymore, Colt Cabana's show, and did the truth bombs of WWE. He said you can't call multiple matches a main event. The main event is the last match. It's always been the last match. It always will be the last match. These are CM Punk's words, and truer words have never been spoken. And I'm happy for CM Punk to truly main event to WrestleMania, because last year he wrestled on night one, and night one is not the last match of the show, is it? So that was not a real main event. But this year, he was in the real main event. He truly main evented WrestleMania for the first time, and I'm really happy for CM Punk to truly main event WrestleMania. In the beginning of his entrance, he came out to AFI, A Fire Inside, which is a band that I have on my iPod. But this is a callback to early in CM Punk's career when he came out to AFI as his entrance music in the Indies, and I put AFI entrance callback. Will Michael Cole mention it? Question mark. Because I wanted to see if Michael Cole would, meta tell all the audience at home, oh, this is CM Punk's old independent entrance music. I was honestly expecting him to do it because that's the kind of commentary we get nowadays. And I was thinking, like, Are they going to let this be a subtle moment for those in the know? Or is Michael Cole going to tell all of us that this was his entrance music during the Indies? Thankfully, Michael Cole did not mention that. I'm actually genuinely surprised Michael Cole didn't mention it. But to those who know, CM Punk's beginning of his entrance tonight, when he came out to AFI, he came out to them during his time in the Indies, before he ever used Cult of Personality as his entrance. So to those who know, they know. And I know because I'm a big, big CM Punk fan. Then I wrote again, CM Punk deserves this in large letters, underlined, because he does. Very well deserved. And I wrote earlier, Roman Reigns the only superstar to come out this weekend? No, he wasn't, because CM Punk came out this weekend and he proved tonight in his entrance and in the match that he too is a superstar on the level of a Roman Reigns. He really deserved this. What a career to CM Punk. I don't think he ever main events WrestleMania ever again, but he did it. He lived his dream, and you are one of the all-time greats, Mr. Punk. Then I put enough of the boxing intros. I've ranted about that enough this video, so we'll move on. Then I wrote, when two stars are in the ring, the crowd wakes up. And how true is that? The crowd, for the first time this weekend, felt truly alive, because when you put two superstars in the ring, squaring off against one another, it wakes up the crowd. Was this Rock Hogan crowd? No, it wasn't that level, but it was for the first time this weekend, it finally felt like a WrestleMania crowd, because hey, go figure, you put two superstars in the ring, the crowd's actually going to wake up and they're actually going to care about what's happening. That's pretty much a lesson learned, isn't it? Then I wrote underneath that, because to use that as a segue into this point, the WWE needs to learn how to make money matches in the mid card too. You can't just rely on CM Punk and Roman Reigns to carry your entire WrestleMania for you, which is pretty much what WrestleMania 42 was, carried by CM Punk and Roman Reigns. I'll give you 3 mid-card matches that could have been big money matches in the mid-card this year. Number 1, Asuka versus Io Sky versus Kairi Sane in a triple threat, or Asuka versus Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors going one-on-one. You turn Kairi heel. You turn Asuka face. You have them wrestle several times between January and WrestleMania, where Kairi wins every single match. Asuka heads into WrestleMania having never beaten Kairi. Every time they wrestle, Kairi wins. At least in this year, right? At least in this storyline. Asuka has never won a match at WrestleMania. Kairi and Asuka are booked for a WrestleMania match where if Asuka loses, she must retire from WWE forever. She either wins her first WrestleMania match and she finally defeats Kairi Sane, or she retires from wrestling altogether. That's a big money mid-card match that the crowd would have been crazy into if built up properly. But the WWE doesn't think of these things. Here's another big money mid-card match. Now this one, there are injuries involved, so it would have been hard to do, but Drew McIntyre wins the Intercontinental title, and he's challenged by Sheamus, who's never won the Intercontinental title. And again, you either beat me for the Intercontinental title and win your first ever Intercontinental title, or you retire from WWE forever. That's a big money match in the mid-card. And how about this? Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton without a title on the line, just in the mid-card, and have a different WWE title match. Maybe you have Sami Zayn challenging somebody else for the WWE title, and you could have done a journeyman storyline of Sami Zayn getting a world title match at WrestleMania for night 1, and you could have had Cody and Randy in the mid-card as a big-time money mid-card match. They don't think of these things, though. They don't care. They just want to be carried by CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, and they don't care about making big money matches. But I just gave you 3 big money matches in the mid-card. So why can't Triple H do the same thing? Because he sucks at his job. That's why. I didn't take any notes during the match, and I talked about this match in the introduction of this video, and it was a great match. There's nothing to be said about the match in a bubble. And here's where I will give criticisms to the match. In a bubble, this was a fantastic match. And how the match was booked inside a bubble, I'm so happy it was booked the way it was. Just two guys going out there and laying it all on the line. Better man wins, right? Beautiful. In a bubble, perfect. And the match was probably a 4.5 star match, maybe even a 5 star match to some people, but definitely 4.5 star match. Best match of the weekend by far. Two huge superstars. What an incredible match it was. Everyone loved it. It was my favorite match of the year, my favorite match of the weekend. I haven't looked at anybody, but I know it was everybody's favorite match of the weekend because, of course, it was. It was a fantastic match. Here's the problem. It doesn't exist in a bubble. Like I said earlier, wrestling doesn't exist in a bubble. There's the before, there's the during, and there's the after. The problem with this match was the after, because there's nothing for after. It's just over. How many times do we need to end a WrestleMania with Roman Reigns celebrating a victory? How many WrestleManias have ended with Roman Reigns celebrating a victory? You just ended WrestleMania for like what, the 10th time ever with Roman Reigns celebrating a victory. Like not even, legitimately not even exaggerating. That was like the 10th ever WrestleMania to end with Roman Reigns celebrating a victory. That is the problem. The Rock did not come out. That is the problem. There was no hook. There was no twist. There was nothing to be like, this is why you should be excited going forward. In a bubble, I love that they let just Roman Reigns and CMPunk put all on the line and go out there and prove like we are the two best in this industry and we don't need anybody else. We just need ourselves, we just need each other. We need nobody else's help to make this main event an amazing main event. They proved that. The problem is it doesn't exist in a bubble. What I needed to happen, and what I think a lot of people needed to happen, was The Rock to come out to hint at a WrestleMania 43 match between Roman Reigns and The Rock. Because if that match was going to happen, which we don't know if it's going to, but if it was going to happen, they needed to announce it tonight. You know? Like, they can't announce it like 3-4 months before WrestleMania 43. They needed to announce it tonight. Remember, John Cena versus The Rock at WrestleMania the first time was announced 1 year in advance. They need to do the same thing for Roman and Rock, which means they need to announce it on Raw tomorrow night. And I don't think they will, but they need to announce it on Raw tonight or, whenever you see this video, probably tonight for those watching it now. Or in hindsight, anybody who sees this video later, hopefully they announced it on Raw. But in my opinion, you had two options. Have the match book exactly how it was. Roman wins, and then he goes up the ramp. Rock comes out, and they have a face-off. That would have been the most simplest way, but it still would have been the hook. But here was my thinking during the match and before and as the match started. I was like, how crazy would it be if Rock came out and cost Roman the match and gave CM Punk the win to accomplish two things. Number one, give CM Punk a WrestleMania main event victory, which he'll probably never have in his career now, because I don't think he ever main events WrestleMania again. But it would have given him a victory, but then you could have also ended WrestleMania with The Rock looking down at a broken down Roman, hinting towards the future. And in a bubble, I'm happy that didn't happen because I'm happy for Punk and Roman to go out there and prove we don't need The Rock to have the best WrestleMania match of the weekend. In that sense, I'm happy. But creatively speaking, there's no hook. There was no hook. And this WrestleMania just ended the exact same way like 10 other WrestleManias have ended. Or like 9 other WrestleMania WrestleManias have ended, with Roman Reigns celebrating a victory. We've seen that like 10 times in our lives. We've seen that like 10 times in WrestleMania history. We didn't need to see it again. What we needed was a hook for next year, and we didn't get it. I have no criticisms of the match itself. I have no criticisms of the talent themselves. It was a great match. My criticism is that, creatively speaking, they gave us no hook and no reason to care about wrestling between now and WrestleMania 43. How many Raws and SmackDowns are you going to watch between now and WrestleMania 43? I'm probably not going to watch any, to be completely honest with you. Because I have no reason to. And I feel like you have no reason to either, because they gave us no reason to. CM Punk and Roman Reigns, you guys are badasses. You had a great match. To the two of you, my flowers, kudos to you. An incredible match. To the WWE, you gave us no reason to care about the next year. That being said, that is my WrestleMania 42 review. That's my thoughts on the entire show. Go watch my review of night one. Watch this one. Watch them both as like a giant podcast. Where do I rank WrestleMania 42? Night 2 saved it. CM Punk and Roman Reigns saved it. I'll say from a production standpoint and a creative standpoint, it was like really poor. The wrestlers of night 2 saved it. Specifically CM Punk and Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. The three of them really saved it. Brock Lesnar gave us an emotional moment. CM Punk and Roman Reigns gave us a great match. And the rest of the matches were all much better than the night 1 matches. So I'll say this WrestleMania is, of all the WrestleManias I've seen, it's probably like 6th or 7th worst. I could probably think of like 5, maybe 6 WrestleManias that were worse than this one. Only because CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Brock Lesnar really saved them. Because there were some disastrous WrestleManias, like WrestleMania 27, which to me is still the worst WrestleMania of all time. Night 1 of this year made me think, oh, WrestleMania 27 might get topped as the worst WrestleMania of all time this year, but CM Punk and Roman Reigns stopped that from happening. So there you go, my review of WrestleMania 42. Thank you for watching.